Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Electric Vision Entertainment. Once again, I am your host, Aleia, and here on the show, we talk about tech thoughts and thick hair. And if it's your first time here, welcome. On this show, every Saturday, same time, same place, in multiple places, we talk about electronics, we do robotics, we code, we do some networking, we talk about building portfolios, we have discussions about space and time. We do all sorts of things here. It's always a little different. Sometimes we work on projects, sometimes we just chit chat with each other, and other times we might have just like a compartmentalized it's so one thing that we do for that one issue. So it's like a special little mini project. But for right now, what we've been doing is working on this big project. So, well, in my usual fashion, as we introduce the show, I'll talk about what happened next or last week, what the plan is for today, get into it a bit as far as we can, because as you know, if you're not new to robotics or if you've been to the show before, and if you are new, you'll discover that in the field of robotics, just like with many things in technology, things don't always work. Things don't always go perfectly. Sometimes you have a perfect plan and it's all laid out and everything should fall in place. And then when the time comes, nothing works. So that's just part of the development process. Whether you're doing software development, mechanical projects, robotics, anything related to technology, or probably any field, honestly. So we've been dealing with that for the past few weeks because this robot we're working on has not been working. It'll work for like a minute or two and then it stops. And so we did the past 2 weeks ago. I think it's when I kind of first showcased the robot itself when it was fully built. I'll show it real quick. Just pull it over here. No need to share our screen quite yet. This giant hunk of a monster. I have been terrified of it twice. Um, both times that I got it working because I wasn't the first time I didn't expect it to move. I thought I'd just send a command for it to like light up and signal or something, and then it jumped up, scared me. And the second time was similar, only I knew it was gonna move. I just didn't expect it to move so quickly, and I kind of jumped and screamed a little bit. That's the funny thing about robotics is you create these machines, and then at the same time they kind of terrify you. And welcome everybody who's here. I'm gonna throw that out there. Hopefully we get some interaction in the chat today. I know last week we had a bit of interaction. There's some processes that I did promise to show on this. So last week someone asked like what's the difference between a Raspberry Pi and Arduino, which if you've seen on the show we did a kind of a short mini series about Arduinos, what they are, worked with them a little bit, and now for this robot we're doing Raspberry Pi. So we did talk about it a little bit, and that'll probably be one of the main systems we use for robots, at least for the next few weeks on the robots we're doing, just because they have a network connection set up, so like send video over Wi-Fi through a camera. But I was going to pull up like the different interfaces to kind of more succinctly show the difference, but I'm gonna wait because I want to make sure that the person who asked that goes back up in chat. And if they don't, then we'll still talk about it probably a little later on, and I'll show the differences between the two in terms of software because physically they look about the same. So there's that. Let's see what else I have to talk about before we get going. Let's see. So for this robot, like I mentioned, the first week we worked on it, I didn't show myself building it because it took so long. It took like 4 hours, and it wasn't really any interesting thing to see. It was mostly just me sitting here listening to music. I think it was like watching anime and just screwing things together for hours, and that was it. So nothing really too interesting. I recorded part of it, forgot to record the other part. We'll show that at the end. And so what we're gonna the week before last, what we did was we were working on the Raspberry Pi and trying to get it connected. And we were able to pull it up and everything. The problem was that with the Raspberry Pi, we weren't able to fully connect into it because we didn't have power. I discovered that when I looked at this battery pack here, this guy, I looked at it at a quick glance, was paying attention, and I was like, AA batteries. And then it turned out it was not AA batteries. So I was like, I have no way to power this. So what it needed was these batteries called 18650 batteries. They're a type of lithium batteries. They're very strong, very powerful. I'm sure we all know what Tesla is. And Elon Musk, when he was first making the Tesla, and there were like viral videos everywhere of people putting like hundreds of batteries together to make a car battery, he used these. Well, I don't know if they were these exact 650, but these type of batteries. So I invested and I got them. Now I have a bunch of these. So then last week came about. I was like, I have the batteries. We're doing this. I got into it, and then for whatever reason, I tested it before the show and it was working a little bit, kind of. And so the time for the show came about. Plugged everything in. I got power on the signal side. And I'll switch to the camera in a second so you can see what I mean. But the signal, there's two sources of power for it. All through the same, there's like 4 batteries to power the signal and the control. So basically the Raspberry Pi. And then 2 power like all the motors and just only handle the motor controls. So the control power was on for the signal, but then the motor power wasn't on. And I was like, that's weird. So we sat for like a while debugging it, trying to figure out what was going on. Switching the batteries for different ones, that didn't change it. Then I was like, well, maybe they're dead. So then I switched in other batteries. They shouldn't have been dead because I just ordered them. But I guess sometimes it happens. So switched them out, no change. I'm just like, all right. So I get a battery pack, and I did this other part off air, because we weren't able to get a solution last show. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So then off the camera, I got this other battery pack here off of this robot. Yeah, this one. Turned out they had the same type of battery requirements. I was able to steal the battery pack off it. And I was like, let me just plug this up with the batteries and see. Plugged it up, boom, it worked. So I was like, alright. The problem then is this battery pack is broken. So I get it, I take it apart. I'm looking inside at the components. Like they don't look messed up. So I soldered it up a little bit, no change. So I figure either the switch itself is broken or there is a short in the wire. Either way, I was like, I can't fix it. Yeah, it's been a series of unfortunate events, but that is the development process right about now. Stressful. But, so I was like, alright, that's the problem, whatever. And in the meantime, I did order other batteries from this battery shop called like 18650batteries.com. I have some other friends who work in technology and engineering. They recommended this site to me and certain batteries. So I just got these yesterday. They're cute. I like them because they're just fancy. The other ones I got from Amazon, so they came instantly, but they're probably like lower quality. These bad boys just look like this is what I imagine a battery should look like. Even though it looks like all the others. It's purple. I know I have this weird filter on, so everything kind of looks a little purple. But I like this filter for whatever reason. It gives a interesting style to things. So I got those. The downside is I ordered 3. I thought I ordered 3 packs of 2, so I thought I was getting 6 batteries. But I ordered 3 of 1, and these expensive $10 each batteries. But it's fine. So I was like, alright. So I did yesterday or the day before, I did another test run. Like I want to make sure we have everything functional for the show. Do a test run of these batteries. It worked perfectly. I was like, yes, we got this. Hot glued it onto the robot. It was going swell. And then, it was moving. You know, the legs was going, freaked me out. But then I saw 2 of the legs caught on each other. And I was like, that's unusual because I saw it happen before. But I could still hear the sound of a motor trying to move. Like, can't really describe the sound. I'm sure we've all heard in some fashion, like, just the sound of mechanical stress. I can't describe it. It's just like a whining noise. I heard it. I was like, something is still happening over here. So I lean in, trying to listen. What is going on? Next thing I know, I see smoke rising up. And I was like, oh no, what's burning? I was like, please don't be the circuit. Luckily, it wasn't the circuit. I flipped it over. and the battery pack was burning, which is still technically lucky. Not really, but it could have been the circuit board, and if that were the case, it would be a lot more struggle to fix. Because I have to buy another board, and I don't even know if they sell them separately. Hopefully, I'm sure they do somewhere. But it's hard to see probably up close. But if you look a little bit, you can kind of see on this side, it's a little risen up compared to the other because the battery started burning through it. I don't know if it still works. I haven't tried it. I don't think I'm going to try it on the air. I don't want to blow it up for real. So because luckily I unplugged it before anything crazy happened. So the downside now is that I don't have a functional battery pack to test the. Well, I do, but I don't know if I want to burn out the other one. I'll think about it. What we're gonna do? We're gonna just do. Today's just gonna be a troubleshooting day. That's why the episode title is take two, because we're gonna try this again. It probably won't actually blow up. I haven't actually blown up a battery. I don't really want to try to. Usually they just kind of do what this did and kind of expand out and bubble, if anything. But the chemicals inside of these batteries are highly toxic. I do not want to burst open a battery. Especially, I forget what the regular batteries are made of, like regular AA, whatever. I forget what they're made out of. Oh, mercury, no mercury, radium. Well, it doesn't say on like this 9-volt. Battery types may explode or leak. If this was that one. For these ones, I know they're made of lithium, which I don't want to get all over my hands. I don't have gloves. Even if I had gloves, it's probably a bad idea. I have to go get a whole decontamination situation. To do not puncture, damage, or disassemble it. Something tells me that burning it will puncture it. I don't want to test that out. I don't think it would be big enough where it would like literally explode, but we're not gonna test that today. The worst we'll do. What we're gonna do first, I'm gonna pull up the schematic. I'll probably share a bit of the design of it. Once I pull it up on one of my screens, and I'll share the screen so we can see it. And what it does for that schematic is just a picture of where each leg goes. Because what I'm pretty certain, let me switch to the other screen so you can I can point it out as we go. You're not gonna be able to see me because I haven't figured out the solution for the camera situation. So we're just gonna look at the robot because that's the important part here. So underneath, kind of hard to see. We're gonna rip it apart. Like I said, we didn't see me put it together, but we're probably gonna see me partially take it apart today, which is frustrating. And I was saying the other day how I really didn't want to have to do that for this robot, but it is what it is. So I still have this other battery pack here that works and is connected to my signal, so it'll plug in. You see these two little white buttons over here, very small. See if I can zoom in on them. Cool. So you have these two white buttons right here. And one of them, yeah, it is what it is. We're just gonna work through it and try to get it to work either way. But it probably won't be this week because I know either way we don't have two power sources for both of these. But we can maybe see if we can get power for one side without it blowing up. Actually, no, we can't test it. So even if I can get power over here, I need power on my signal side to turn it on and tell it to move. So hopefully by next week we can get this functional and moving where y'all can see it. So yeah, we turn these both on, and I could plug in the other side over here, but right now we just have the control power over here. And such a large freaking robot. So that's that power, and then all the way under here where there's like 10,012 wires, is where all of the motors, all the servos and everything are connected to. So what I might do is disassemble it. I don't know if I want to do top down or bottom up. I think I can do it from the bottom. Yeah, we'll do it from the bottom, and I think I can take it out like that. And I'm just gonna be careful of the head because I broke the head the other day, and not all the way, but like it snapped at the base. But luckily, that super glue actually worked once. So what I'm thinking is these two, I believe it's these two legs. These two legs get caught on each other almost every time. Or every time I've tested it and it worked. It'll get up, it'll move, and then they'll just like cross or something like this. Some weird something to where it can't move. And then but the program is still running. So it's still pulling power from the battery trying to move, and that's what blows it. Is what I'm 99% sure is what's going on here. So what I'm thinking is when I plugged up these wires way down here, they have to be in certain spots and they're labeled numerically and everything. So I'm pretty sure what happened is I possibly plugged these ones in where these ones go. And so they're doing opposite movements of what actually needs to happen. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is I plugged something in the wrong place, and so it's getting commands from the wrong position. So one is they're just moving wrong. I'm pretty sure the other legs are fine because I haven't seen them act up, but that doesn't mean they won't. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna do this head. I wanna I need something to prop this up. Let me just put my hot glue gun under it because I don't want to squish the head again. While I work on this, but that's what we're gonna do today. And I'll set this here. Yeah, we're just gonna swap the cables. It's just hard to get to them because they're under like 3 layers of things. So take off this top piece, and then I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to remove. Oh no, the battery's connected to the top piece. So yeah, I think I need to just undo a couple of these screws here. My only concern is that the battery or the motors will fall off. Like the legs are gonna just like all over the place, and it took forever to get them. But it's fine. Yeah, I should be able to just take this off, and it'll expose all the wiring underneath. And then what I'm gonna do right now, I meant to have it up earlier, but I haven't closed it. But apparently my computer shut itself off the other day for no reason. I'm gonna pull up the schematic for it. Click, and I'll see if I can do like a share screen slash other screen for the desk so you can see it while also looking at where things go. And then we're just gonna do that. We're just gonna play and take it apart. So just a moment. It is a lot of wiring. I have to. Oh, I just looked at it. Okay, cool. So, and then let me share this screen with you guys so you can see it. Throw it on here for y'all. Not gonna be super big, but it'll be big enough, I think, for us to kind of tell what's going on. And I'll try to zoom in on it as well. Nope, that's not gonna work. Getting there, I'm getting there. What's going on? Okay. Alright. So that should be pretty visible. It's not the best. I can't really zoom in on it. I'm gonna try one more thing real quick before we get into it, see if I can get it a little closer. And then we'll go. Ooh, close. Too That's about probably as good as I'm gonna be able to get it for y'all for the moment. It's not the best still, but it's what we got. So let's see how this looks. It's as good as I can get it. Basically, what the and each of the legs are assigned a number. So when I take this apart on the board itself, there's going to be numbers as well. And I'm just going to double check that the numbers of each part is lined up to the correct number on the board. We're going to see. So let me just get into it. I just start ripping stuff apart. Definitely feel free to keep communicating in chat, and I'll just make sure I glance over, try to get them both. For the people who have been here before on the show, thank you again for coming back to the show and watching, sticking around and see this project evolve and grow over time. Definitely, as I may have mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned, but definitely make sure to follow us on Twitch. I think some people are watching from Facebook as well, or on YouTube, so you can follow there as well. And we can see how this project evolves, get to a point where we have our crazy killer looking robots. That one, this one, a weird angle, but it can work. It'll work. So this is our process. How do you from Twitch? Thank you for coming on Twitch. I know there's other people probably lurking around in different places. It's okay, you can just watch. It's perfectly fine. I do this often. People tell me, well, I tell people, like, this just consumes me. There have been times where, like, I wake up and I was like, I'm just gonna go outside and soak up the sunshine like a normal person. And I was like, well, let me just check this one thing on my robot. Just one thing. And 3 hours later, I am consumed. But it's fine. Because it's just like I said before, anything with development or tech, like once you really get into it, oh, the legs are gonna kind of fall. Once you really get into it, it's hard to stop because you're like, I just want to test this one thing, and then one thing becomes two things, and then don't let it work, because if it works, I'm like, oh, definitely let me keep going so I can play with it. Or it's like I'll be building like a website even, and I'll be like, oh, let me just put this one thing on my homepage. If it works and I get it on my homepage, then I'm just gonna keep going, adding more stuff. I'm like, well, now I have time. Oh, cool. Battery pack was attached, so saved some time. I know this looks like a hot mess under here, and it really is. And I'm not gonna fix it. I don't have a solution really for how we're going to how I am just gonna make this look clean, because it's not going to. So what I might do, I might just rewire the whole thing so it makes sense to me, because I'm gonna get lost myself. Do I want to do that? Yeah, we might do that. We got time. We got 30 minutes. And what we're also gonna do once I rewire it, I'm gonna put it back together, of course. I'll probably only turn on the signal, just so we can connect to the Raspberry Pis. Like I said, we're gonna show the difference between that and Arduino. And then if I feel like we can do this without blowing it up, well, we'll see. Nah, we're not gonna do that. Because I want to plug this battery pack, this one in, because I feel like it could still work, but I really don't want to test it. Because it's already kind of burnt, and I know the other one doesn't work. And I plan to order more battery packs. They have not arrived yet, so next week we'll have more. We can actually, I'm just order like 8 in, because I'm getting to that point where I need a lab. Because as I mentioned before, and as you kind of see if you've been here before, my lab setup is completely different. Not completely different, but it's pretty different. And I'll probably set up cameras differently in due time. But for the moment, is what it is. I'm just unplug everything. It won't take that long to plug everything in here. And it's better safe than sorry. The only ones I'm not gonna unplug are the servos in the front for the head because I know they're in the correct position. And they're not my problem right now. I will say I probably did mess up some wiring because it was like 3 a.m. when I was working on this, and it wasn't, first off, it wasn't light. I have this giant desk lamp when I'm working. Can't really see it. I have a bunch of lamps, but that doesn't mean I saw clearly. I could have mistaken like a 27 for a 22. Wrong place. Oh, okay. Just gonna segment everything approximately to their appropriate motors. All this there. There. Alright, it is ripped open. Now, let me pull up on my image again. Alright, so starting here, this is our base. And let's see what our lowest number. We're just gonna go clockwise. Ish, counterclockwise. We're gonna start here and go this way. So here we have 13, 14, and 15. So this motor, 13. Then this, yes, this one is 14, and this one is 15. They're all following that model. So 13, 14, 15, then 10, 11, 12. And I can see now where the problem came in. So here, over on this side, we have 16, 17, 18. Here, 19. You can't really see it. Over here, 19, 20, 21. Back here is 22, 23, and 27. So that's weird. And then on here is 9, 8, 31. So these two alone are confusing because their numbers aren't in order. That could be part of it too. I'm gonna scoot them out the way, deal with them in a minute. We're gonna start up here. So this one is 15. So, and then also, if you look at the cable, we have yellow, red, and brown. It doesn't really show on here the exact reasons for them, but based off standards for robotics, I think I've mentioned before, the standard for robotics, as well as really most technology things, is your red is your power, either black, gray, or brown is your ground, and then yellow or whatever other color is available is your signal. So, of course, we get power through power, ground gets rid of excess to keep the circuit closed, and then yellow is our signal, so that's where it's like actually reading orders from and actually is connected to Raspberry Pi. So, and then on here as well, I can't really see too well. If I can get a, see if I can get a zoom screen on here real quick. The screen is gonna be busy, but it's fine. Alright. Lots of stuff going on the screen now, as predicted. But you can kind of see on there a bit that each one of these has like a row of yellow, a row of red, and a row of black. So all we have to do is make sure everything is plugged up in the right order and then connect it to whichever number. So it does say on the side, I say I can't really get too much closer without quality, but over here on the side it says which leg it is. It doesn't tell me which leg is which leg, but it just says like leg 6, leg 5. And then on the opposite side it has numbers. So I said this one that I'm holding now is 13. 13 is back there. This one is 14. And like I said, we're probably just gonna test this next show. Just because I don't, like I said, I don't have two power sources to both control it, to send a signal to control it, as well as actually power it. And if I tested it, possibly won't end well. Better safe than sorry. That is something to note. Experimentation is good, but safety is better. And while I do have goggles, I don't have gloves. Or Actually, no. I was gonna say I don't have a face mask, but obviously I have 1,000 face masks for a lot of reasons. Um, but still, this one is 11. Oh, sorry. Let me make sure I have chat up. Yes, yes. Thank you for following, Cozy. Thank you, thank you. Welcome. We are playing with robots today, as we always do. Most of the time, always. Yes, hardware streaming all the time. This is what I do. I keep not looking at the diagram. Put it over. Okay, cool. 11. We're doing this. And then this is 12. So while we're here, actually, while I'm just like plugging stuff in, chit chat. They said this robot hopefully will be done next week. Because really it's done being built. It's just we have 1,000 problems with the power, which is always one of the biggest issues. Like programming, actually no, we'll probably need 2 more weeks. Because if we can get this powered up next week, then we'll program it next week as well, and then we should be done. If not, we'll do 1 more week of this and just like programming it, playing with it, etc. I'm gonna leave these alone for a minute because they're confusing. So work on this for a few more weeks. Then I will see, depending on how some other things go, we'll have a couple different options. We can either work on the other robot that I showed a few minutes ago. So back this one. And this one will probably be easier than this. They both are running with Raspberry Pis. This one just needs a different operating system. But just looking at it, it's just a lot simpler than this. So I'm pretty sure we can do that in a week or 2, especially since it's already built. Then another option, like I said, sometimes we'll have more contained shows where it's like we're just gonna do one quick project for a show. Keep it simple, keep it light, just make something real fun and quick. In which case I showed this book off last show. You pull it back over here. Y'all can see it. I have this book, Maker's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. I got it because the world is crazy. But it's full of Arduino and Raspberry Pi projects. I definitely recommend this author, Simon Monk, if you want to get into Arduino or Raspberry Pi. He has a whole series for like intro stuff, advanced stuff. I have his books on like Maker's Guide for Evil Scientists, like gadgets for the evil scientists. Of course, that's what I'm gonna get. So, but in this book, they have projects like how to make your own power generator, tripwire alarms, camera observation, water boilers, all sorts of just stuff. And they're all based off just small parts that you can get from like a junkyard or a local electronics store, if they're even any open anymore. Stuff like that. Things that I probably already have here. We can do like a small, just quick, contained episode like that. Python OpenCV. You know, I've heard of this library. I don't I think I've used it. Yes, I haven't actually put any AI, like strong AI into my robots yet. So as you've noticed, I'm doing this show on Make School Stream. And Make School is the school I attend. It's a Silicon Valley school, although I'm in Arizona right now because life. And I needed to come back here so I could get my job at Intel. And so as a student of Make School, I went because I wanted to study data science, literally specifically so I could learn machine learning and AI for my robots. Have I learned that? Yes. To a degree, because I haven't tried putting them into these yet. I've definitely learned all sorts of different algorithms. I've learned how to build neural nets with Python, etc. I just haven't put them in the robot. But I might put it into this one. I'm actually kind of afraid to put it in this one because I don't know if I want this one learning things and like walking into my room in the middle of the night, jumping up on it. I don't know. It's a little scary. But It's the fun thing about robotics. It's like a roller coaster. It's a little fun and a little terrifying. um, we'll see, but I'm definitely planning on putting some stuff in. Like this one, it's gonna have a lot of data, and that's why I went to data science, so I can learn how to handle it because there's so many inputs going into this. I want to make sure I can control them, consolidate them, etc. So if even adding like a sorting algorithm to it, to where it's able to sort it, the data is bringing in easier and make quicker and faster decisions. The little things. Where I'm gonna put it, I don't know. But I was looking at some of the code a few days ago. 23:27. Okay. I was looking at the code a little bit a few days ago. It's in Python, I'm pretty sure, from what I saw. And it didn't look too bad. I didn't look too in depth because I was doing other stuff. I was like, oh, if it's in Python and it's just basic like this, and there's like loops and it's storing data, then yeah, sorting algorithm makes sense. But like I said, in terms of the neural nets and all that fun stuff, I don't know where I'd put it. So, oh, me too. I am working to build. So actually, if you go to, I don't think I have it up on the screen currently because I have 1,000 things going on the screen. If you look on the YouTube for Make School, or you could go to, I can type it in chat actually. Make.sc / watch. Oh, I can't spell. There's the playlist for my specific YouTube series or series for the show, because we also have other shows on this Twitch channel. That one's for mine. If you look back, we did a whole series. I think it took 4 episodes where we built a custom Arduino. I still haven't finished putting it together because time, but it was on this board here. So I have to move all the pieces over. And then we got to this point. We did a series on soldering. Over here. We started putting things on here, and it does work. It is a fully programmable chip. Mind you, the way I have it set up now, you take the chip off and put it somewhere else, program it, but it's a start. And then in the future, probably not right now, we'll see how, depending on what projects we go to, we might work with E.V.E, which is a software that I use for designing schematics and creating PCB boards. So that way we have a more fancy official version that could possibly be sent out, or that can be sent out to a printer, like a PCB printing house. You can print it out and have a fully fancy looking board. We haven't got there yet. All in due time. For now, though, everything is connected properly. None of it's clean. I'm just stuffing it back in here because that's just is what it is. There's not really I don't think they gave me anything to do wire management with for this robot. I might look into getting it so I can at least cluster them in sets of 3 by each leg. But for now, it is what it is. Wait, I want to do this. I'm gonna put it on backwards because I want the wire to come this way. So it's taut, but not too taut. And I'm just gonna place it back in place and screw it back on once I find the screws. It is what it is. We have that automatically set up for when I say that, because I do say that a lot. That is definitely one of my catchphrases. It is what it is. Because sometimes I just can't do nothing about it. You just gotta accept the fact that it either won't work or it's not going to work today. Like I mentioned to some people before, the thing about working with these or working with robots, sometimes you're like, yeah, it works perfectly, and then you come across one problem. And I see this happen all the time at work, being in research and development at a tech company. It's like, oh, it's gonna work, and then it doesn't. And then I'm like, all right, well, I need a part now. The part might come in 20 minutes if it's in stock in the back and you order it. Other times, you might have to wait like 3 months for it to be on back order. And until that part comes in, there's nothing you can do. So patience is a virtue because sometimes you don't have a choice but to be patient. Yes, I'm gonna come up with some more catchphrases in due time. I think we'll have just a whole plethora of catchphrases. Make sure these are in place in their joints. I also mentioned a thing that is one of my pet peeves in technology when I work with other people in hardware. I have a bunch. Is the cross method. So if you work in hardware, I'm sure you've done it, or you at least have heard of it in some capacity, like cross method, STAR method. Basically, don't put your screws in a circle. So how I did it over here, then over there. Don't go in a circle because it's gonna put pressure. Like if I went here, then here, then here, right? Starts here. This is going down. This side is gonna go up. Here, this side keeps going up. This goes down. And if that keeps happening, for one, the pieces you need, like these, have to fall into certain holes. They may not do that. For one. For two, you possibly will strip your screws, which is one of the worst things you can do ever. Because once a screw gets stuck, it's stuck. It is not fun to get out. If you don't strip the screw, you might strip the hole the screw goes into. A whole bunch of things. So, it's just bad. It's bad practice. So, here I am giving best practice tips and tricks. If you go into a hardware job, this is something they'll teach you. They don't, they should. And if you go into the job already knowing it, all the better. And then also don't screw them in all the way tight until you have them all in place. Like this one is still loose. These two are not. I did go ahead and put those in because I needed to make sure all these holes were aligned with the joints of the legs. But all the other screws, I'm just like, let me just put them in place. And then we go from there. Where are we on time? We're good. So, I'm going to put this back. Like I said, we can't test it till next week. It's unfortunate. But hopefully, like I said, it's so sad that all these electronic stores are closing. Because I could have just run up the street and bought a bunch. But now they get them from Amazon. Which is still pretty fast, but it's not like I can get it in an hour type fast. So whatever. Whatever. Maybe one day I'll open an electronics store. Hint, hint. Keep an eye out in case I actually do decide to do that. Because I've been thinking about that. Like a small Aleia-owned electronics store. Because it'd be fun. As I call myself, I'm a modern day alchemist. I do all the magic stuff, all the science stuff. Just want to live in a bookstore / electronics store / herb store and have my lab upstairs or downstairs and coat it with my fingerprint. What is the maximum voltage this board can take? Good question. I believe it is taking in 3.7 from each battery. Yes, 3.7 from each battery. I don't know the max for this specific board. I didn't look, to be honest. Which is why I was like, oh, please don't burn out the board. I'm not too concerned about the board itself, though. I'm more concerned about the motors. I'm not sure. So whatever, let's calculate real quick. I probably have it on my sheet. I just don't know where on the sheet, and I don't want to spend too much time hunting for it. But right now, it's taking in approximately 14.8 total if all batteries are connected. So, but I don't know what the max is, but they're very specific that it needs these type of batteries. Like it has to be. I forget what I saw. I actually did look at this when I was hunting for the hunting for the batteries. The recommended. Where's the other one? The recommended was the required was 18650, which is the size of the battery. The recommended voltage was 3.7 volts. I believe it said no less than 3.7 or no greater than 3.7. Because I think these ones are 3.5. No, these are 3.7. Yeah, okay. And then the amps were more important, so it was greater than 20. Yeah, greater than 20. I went with 35. I don't think they really go much higher than like 50. And then the important thing is the discharge rate, which is that 35 amps. So yeah, this hopefully that's the plan. There's a lot of plans and motions as we'll see in due time, but not gonna go too in depth. But yeah, I do plan on selling soon, hopefully, my own robotics kits for people to get started, as well as a kit for creating your own custom board. And then separately a whole nother project, which will be not a build your own, it'll be like a invention thingy. But I need a 3D printer to even start that. So I plan to get soon. Anyway, for this, the maximum discharge is 20 amps. The max pulse is 35. So that's really the important number. Just like with humans, you don't die from voltage, you die from amps. By how fast it goes. You can deal with how much the numbers are. I probably should remember because I work in electronics. But you can deal with a lot of voltage and be fine. But the amperage is how fast it goes through you, and that's what'll mess you up. Like if you've seen someone get electrocuted and how after they have those like veins running through their arms, it's from the amps. I have been electrocuted once and it was not fun. It was not fun. I mean, I feel like we've all probably been like minorly electrocuted, like static electricity or something like that. But in this case, it was like pretty bad to where like I grabbed something and then I couldn't move my arm away from it because my arm was like stuck. So I was being electrocuted for like 5 seconds. Crazy. It was not fun. Don't do it. Do not do this at home. Do not electrocute. So yeah. Anyway, we have this bad boy put together. So what we're gonna do, since I said we can't do any power with it, unfortunately, or at least not with the motors. We'll just have to test it next week. And I should have the battery packed by then. And I'll probably do a test run beforehand, so that if there is a problem, I can fix it before, so we don't spend like every single week solely on troubleshooting, and we can actually like get into some fun stuff. But we are gonna do real quick. So we're gonna go into what like I said, we were gonna talk a little bit about the difference between a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino. So I'm gonna open this up, and don't really need to open it up, but I'm just going. We can see the Raspberry Pi in case anyone who's joining us hasn't seen one before, or just cause I like to have things exposed when I'm working. You can do it to a degree. Don't always have your electronics exposed when you're working on them because it can be unsafe. But like power sources, I would not have exposed. But for just like signals and whatnot, should be fine. Should be careful. So this is our cable for our camera. Is that plugged in? Plug it in the signal. I'm just gonna do the signal, and we'll get into that. I don't know, you can't really see because lighting. But your legs. It's so difficult working with this thing. So let me turn it back off. Yeah, you can kind of see a little bit with the lighting. That I push this, you have that LED come on up here. There's also a LED over here that comes on that says we're getting power to our Raspberry Pi. We do have signal power. That wasn't the problem. It was this side. Either wouldn't turn on, or it would turn on and slowly fade out, or it just would turn on, stay on, and then burn. So we're not gonna mess with it. But what we are gonna do, we're gonna focus. We're gonna switch over a little bit more software. This is someone asked about the difference between an Arduino and a Raspberry Pi, so I'm gonna connect them both up and show the difference of them on the screen. And just for visuals, real quick, obviously, this is our Raspberry Pi basic development board. This is our Arduino. Both look the same. They're both development boards, more or less. So they don't look much different. Really, the difference appearance-wise is Raspberry Pi has a few more ports. It has some HDMI ports, so some USB ports, so you can plug in like a camera, not a camera, monitor, keyboard, etc. So let me pull this up real quick, and I can promote into it. So if you've ever worked, yeah, making sure they should be in the right place, and just for me ripping everything out and putting it back, it should be fine. But there's really no way for me to check that currently. in terms of running it. I think there is one way, but I haven't worked with it too much to be able to tell. So pull up my other screen share. I'm just gonna take like 1,000. I'm gonna do the Arduino first, just because it's simpler to just switch to that screen because it's only one screen. Which then also attests to the fact that I Raspberry Pi. Arduino's easier to work with. So you just plug in the cable as such, and plug in the USB, and then you pull up the interface code and keep it moving. Whereas if I did Raspberry Pi, you have to do all sorts of setups. You put an operating system on it because it's like a mini computer. So it's a lot harder to. You need more networking skills to work with it because you have to know how to like set up upload the operating system to a micro SD card. You have to. For me, I want to do it remotely, so I had to be able to set up the Wi-Fi on it, work with IP addresses, a bunch of other stuff. So anyway, let me hop into it. STM32 World. I don't know what that is. Feel free to explain if you want. Or I could just go back and look it up after if need be. Cool. So share this. So this is the Arduino. So you saw I plugged it up. And this is all it is. It's just this one interface. You have to download the Arduino IDE from either online or like the App Store for like Windows. This is not it. And then all you would do is go to your tools. You select which board. There's all these different Arduino boards. Oh, you can't see the drop down. Well, either way, you'll go to your tools, the board, and you select the board, which is the Arduino Uno, and you pick which port it's on. Which I realize I'm not gonna be able to code it on here because I have a like a USB, I forget what they're called, extender, where it's like I just plug one side into my computer and the other side has like 10 ports for USB because I have a lot of stuff on my desk. Unfortunately, it seems that I cannot program it through that. So to plug it right in, which isn't that bad. Either way, you do this, and then you just code directly. So for this one, we were working with like tones and buzzers and such, and then you would just verify that it's a functional thing. It just runs it to see if it can read it, and then upload it to the board, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Mind you, can do other hardware things when you plug up different parts and whatnot, but that's it. Oh, okay, it's a different board. Maybe I heard of this. Someone was recommending me a board. It was like a started with an M. I don't remember what it's called. Max something. I don't remember. It seemed cool. Didn't seem that much different though than what you could still find for most Arduino boards, honestly. And then, okay, so for the Raspberry Pi, what you have to do, we're not gonna go into the full process for setting it up. I'm just gonna like go into it because time and just everything. So the first step is about one second. So many things I have to like. This and then so many. All right. We just have this remote desktop, which is our first thing. So like I said before, you could program and get into your Raspberry Pi if you just plugged it in directly, but you'd have to plug it in directly to your router. my router is all the way on the other side of my apartment, so that would not happen. So I went ahead and set it up to my Wi-Fi, and that way, and like I mentioned, it's basically its own computer. So we could kind of do like a virtual computer with the remote in and say, I want to talk to this computer through my computer. The other way to do it, of course, you could get your own separate monitor, like a TV. They sell Raspberry Pi monitors that are small, but you could do it with like a TV, the HDMI cable, get your own keyboard and mouse, and then just do it over there that way. But this week, since we're doing a robot and we're not trying to set up all that extra, we're just gonna remote into it. So for me, you can put the actual IP address, but my default is Raspberry Pi.local. And connect to it up. And is it on? It is on. Let me reset it real quick. Usually it takes a second to be able to read. Over the Wi-Fi. Pull that back up. Hopefully can get into it, because I was doing this yesterday where it didn't want to let me in. I guess hopefully it does this. And today's not just a over plethora of troubleshooting as it happens. And if it does, then I actually am confused, because this should fully be functional. There's no reason why the Raspberry Pi shouldn't work. Or in terms of letting me remote into it. And I don't need a username for this. So let me try one more time, see if we can get in. If not, we'll probably wrap up soon. And I will just have you all go back and look. Either I'll show it next show, or there's also several videos that I showed it on the last one where we went into it, and then there's also an entire episode that I did on Raspberry Pi for both how to set it up, how to program the SD card, how to remote in, how to go work in Bash in the terminal while you're in, all of that. Now I'm confused. I'm not confused, I'm just like frustrated. Just trying my patience today. Yeah, well, it seems like it doesn't want to let me connect. I'm not sure why that is. Gotta change it. Anyway, we're not gonna be able to get the story from what I'm looking at. So, yeah, it's already because it was functioning literally just yesterday, and I put the operating system onto it. Yeah, the operating system on the SD card, everything's connected, so it does have power. I was able to remote in. It does have the Wi-Fi set up to remote in. Worst case, I may have to re-input the Wi-Fi on it. Just like reset that up is could possibly be it. Which isn't bad. I just would have to like let me switch over to this. Yes, it's not a bad thing or a hard thing. It just would require me like picking the robot up and taking it all the way over there so I can plug it hard wired in and get into it that way. Versus just over the Wi-Fi. Yeah, do that. Yeah. We'll see. I'm gonna do some troubleshooting off air so that when we come back next week, we have a bit more things working, hopefully. So we don't have that issue. So, but yeah, like I said, since we weren't able to get into the Raspberry Pi today, I really want to find more information about that. Which episode number it is? It was probably about 3 weeks ago, and it was like Raspberry Pi Reloaded or something like that. Should be on the playlist on YouTube. If not, it's on YouTube. Just look through the videos, and then it has it all in there. That's what I did. Yes, they're on the same Wi-Fi. Which they are, as far as I'm aware. Shouldn't be on anyone else's Wi-Fi. But yeah, they have to you have to connect it hardwired to the Ethernet first remote into it or get into it, and then set up all the Wi-Fi settings after, and then you should be able to use it. Which I did that like 4 weeks ago, and I said I did this yesterday, day before yesterday as well, last week. Had no issues. So I don't know why he's being stingy today. Well, like I said, this is part of the process because sometimes, especially like if you're done any coding, if you've done any coding, there'll be times where like your code works and you have no reason why it works, and then other times it doesn't work and you have no reason why it doesn't work. And you come back like 2 hours later and then it's fine. So it's probably just throwing a temper tantrum. They do this sometimes. It's so frustrating because I feel like I'm gonna get off this stream and I'm gonna wait a few hours and I'm gonna come back and remote in and everything's fine. I cannot tell you how many times that has happened, both with this show and just in general. So she's being finicky. But yeah, so we always have those other videos you can reference and look at when they have, like I said, they go more in depth, step by step for setting it up and seeing it actually function and work. I again between now and next week, I'm gonna do a bit more work on this one just to like get it into a state where it will actually want to come on the show. I feel like it's camera shy because I've had it work like 2-3 times fully off the air. Mind you, the battery made some other issues. I've had it work a full time off the air. But whenever I get on the air, it just decides it doesn't want to work. So hopefully I can get in a state where it decides to not be petty and actually want to do stuff for me. Yeah. With that being said, is there any other questions or anything before we wrap up today's episode? Like I said, make sure to follow us here on YouTube, on Facebook, all over the places so you can watch every week because it is every week, same time, same place. So yeah, and then just quick note, like I said we'll see about the other projects as well. Kind of putting them through the brain, because certain ones are cooler but they require a lot more parts, and they also require it's a 3D printer to make them, which I have access to one somewhere, but try not to use it if I don't have to. Eventually, I'll have my own, and then there's the other robot up there that we can work on and try to get it functioning, as well as just doing like small little random projects out that other book. So there's some other stuff we'll see, but for now, we're just gonna focus the next probably 2 weeks on trying to get this one working, and go from there. Yeah, if there's not any other questions. Doesn't look like we have any other one. Cool. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining. I appreciate the communication back and forth, chat, the interaction. I love to see it. Hopefully, we can continue to have it. What's the best remote app for Raspberry Pi? I just use the remote desktop for Windows. I forget what the version is, what you have to use for Mac if you have a Mac, but it really shouldn't matter which. Oh, what's it called? The virtual. I just saw it the other day. Let me see if I can pull it up fast. My 10,000 Windows. Windows version is called, or the Mac version. There it is. VNC viewer. You can use that too. But really shouldn't matter which program you use. As long as it's able to talk across the network and be able to. But usually just the default ones can be fine enough. Usually. So hopefully we have that working next week. We can actually get a bit more movement going. How this goes. But with that being said, thank you again for joining me today. Hopefully we'll come back and see you again next week and work on some more robot stuff and just play around with other things, and I'll have even more parts scattered about this desk than I do now. So that being said, I want to wish you all a good rest of your Saturday. Enjoy the day. I'm gonna go cosplay some stuff now, play around. So I'll see you all later.